Alien species, the shadow beings. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hidden Truth. We've explored many races across the stars: the Zeta Reticulan Greys, the tall benevolent Nordics, the wise Syrians, the spiritual Arcturians, the ancient Anunnaki, the artistic Vegans, the regal Lyrants, the mysterious Umites, the freedom-focused Procyonans, the nuanced Solipsi Ray, the approachable Alpha Centaurians, the complex Orions, the powerful Draconians, the elegant tall Whites, and the reticulan hybrids. Today we're stepping into one of the most elusive, psychologically unsettling, and commonly reported phenomena in the entire paranormal and UFO fields. The shadow beings, also known as shadow people, shadow figures, or the infamous Hat Man. Unlike many of the races we've covered, shadow beings are rarely described as physical extraterrestrials arriving in spacecraft with advanced technology. Instead, they are most often reported as non-corporeal, dark, humanoid presences that seem to exist in the liminal spaces between visibility and invisibility, sleep and waking. The most consistent descriptions paint them as solid black or dark gray silhouettes. They often appear as two-dimensional cutouts or three-dimensional humanoid shapes with undefined, shifting edges. They lack visible facial features, clothing details, or surface texture. Height is usually human-sized or slightly taller, 5 to 7 feet, though some reports describe much taller figures reaching 8 to 10 feet, or smaller, childlike forms. Their movement is frequently described as unnatural. They dart quickly across rooms, stand motionless in doorways or corners, or slowly approach the observer. Many witnesses note that they seem to melt into walls, floors, or shadows the moment they are looked at directly. Their presence is almost always accompanied by a heavy, oppressive, or malevolent energy. Experiencers commonly report feelings of dread, paralysis, suffocating fear, or the distinct sensation of being intently watched. A particularly common and disturbing variant is the Hat Man, a tall, solid black figure wearing a wide-brimmed fedora or similar hat, often standing silently in the corner of a room or at the foot of the bed. Other variations include hooded figures, shapeless masses, or groups of smaller shadow entities moving together in coordinated patterns. Shadow beings are most frequently encountered in three contexts. The first is during sleep paralysis or hypnagogic states, that vulnerable threshold between sleeping and waking. In these moments, the entity is often seen standing near the bed, watching or slowly approaching. The second is through peripheral vision in home environments. They appear in hallways, doorways, or room corners, then vanish when looked at directly. The third context involves high strangeness or UFO-related experiences, where shadow beings are reported alongside UFO sightings, alien abductions, or other anomalous activity. This has led some researchers to speculate that they may be interdimensional entities, scouts, or non-physical extensions of gray or other alien intelligences sent to observe or monitor humans. Encounters are usually brief and non-physical. The beings rarely speak or make direct physical contact, yet the psychological impact is often profound. Many people describe a draining of energy, intense fear, or a lingering sense of violation long after the figure disappears. Within UFO and paranormal research, several interpretations have been proposed. Some researchers view shadow beings as interdimensional entities from adjacent densities or the shadow realm that occasionally bleed through into our reality. A subset of accounts connects them to UFO activity, suggesting they could be remote viewing probes, holographic projections, or non-physical extensions of other alien intelligences. Psychological and spiritual interpretations see them as externalizations of the observer's own fear, shadow self, or subconscious projections, especially during vulnerable states like sleep paralysis. In some esoteric traditions, they are considered negative or opportunistic entities that feed on fear or low vibrational energy. The Hat Man variant is particularly notable for its consistency across cultures and time periods. Reports of this specific figure date back decades and appear in many different countries. leading some researchers to speculate that it may represent a distinct archetype or entity rather than a random hallucination. Shadow beings are documented primarily through anecdotal reports rather than controlled scientific study. Major sources include the work of Heidi Hollis, whose book The Secret War and website shadowpeople.org represent one of the most comprehensive collections of shadow being encounters. With a strong focus on the Hatman phenomenon, UFO and abduction researchers such as Whitley Strieber, Bud Hopkins, and David Jacobs have noted shadow being-like entities in some high strangeness or abduction contexts. Large numbers of personal testimonies appear on forums such as Reddit's r Shadow People, r Paranormal, and r Experiencers, as well as dedicated paranormal sites. Scientific studies on sleep paralysis often document the presence of dark humanoid figures, providing a psychological baseline for many reports. There is no single dominant, well-verified physical event or mass sighting that anchors the shadow beings phenomenon. Their presence is almost entirely based on individual eyewitness testimony, often occurring in private settings under conditions of low light, fatigue, or altered consciousness. Credibility remains one of the biggest challenges. There is virtually no physical evidence, no clear photographs, video footage, or artifacts that have withstood scrutiny. Most accounts occur under conditions known to produce visual distortions or hallucinations, such as sleep paralysis or peripheral vision in dim lighting. Skeptics and sleep researchers attribute the majority of shadow being reports to sleep paralysis. Hypnagogic hallucinations, or the brain's natural tendency to interpret ambiguous shadows as threatening humanoid forms. The consistency of the Hatman archetype is often explained as a universal cultural or neurological phenomenon rather than evidence of an objective entity. Supporters, however, point to the sheer volume of consistent reports across cultures and time periods, the emotional intensity of the encounters, and occasional cases where multiple witnesses saw the same figure simultaneously. These factors suggest to some that shadow beings may represent something beyond simple misperception or hallucination. As of 2026, shadow beings remain one of the most commonly reported paranormal phenomena worldwide. They continue to be discussed in paranormal podcasts, YouTube channels, and online forums. Interest tends to come from people who have had personal encounters or who are exploring the intersection of sleep paralysis, high strangeness experiences, and possible interdimensional or extraterrestrial activity. In summary, shadow beings are described as dark, humanoid silhouettes or solid black figures that appear in peripheral vision, during sleep paralysis, or in high strangeness contexts. They are most often reported as silent observers that evoke feelings of dread, paralysis, or being intensely watched. Information about them comes almost entirely from anecdotal eyewitness testimony, with no independent physical corroboration. They represent one of the most elusive and psychologically unsettling phenomena in the broader paranormal and UFO fields. Entities that seem to exist in the liminal space between sleep and waking, visibility and invisibility, and the known and the unknown. Whether viewed as interdimensional beings, psychological projections, extraterrestrial scouts, or something else entirely, shadow beings continue to intrigue and disturb those who encounter them or study their reports. What do you think? Have you ever experienced a shadow being or the Hatman? Did it feel like a hallucination, a psychological projection, or something more? Drop your stories or thoughts in the comments. I read every one. If this video helped you understand one of the most common yet mysterious paranormal phenomena, please hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss the next species, and ring the bell for notifications. Next time we'll continue our journey through the stars and the shadows with another fascinating topic. Thanks for watching. Stay aware, stay grounded, and keep questioning what lurks in the corners of your vision. I'll see you in the next one.